dangerous.
Bad feeling about this.
You don't seem to understand something.
The thing that I like most about being a dad is that I see that I'm about to impact the world. What's up, people? It's HD in the building. It's going to be a great show. Why? Because I said so. We're going to be talking about how do leaders present themselves. Like last week, we was talking about leadership and what men can do. Mainly, we kind of talked about the women's and their perspective on what a leader is. And so we're going to talk about that a little bit further today. And hopefully we get some really good insight as usual, right? And so our introduction question is, what is one thing you are always losing? What is one thing you are always losing? And while they think about that, don't forget to go and check out humbledad.life, where you can kind of check up on what I do and what's going on over here, all right? And the first person coming up to bat, we're going to see what he got. Mr. Prototype.
I'm glad you picked me first because everybody's going to pick this answer. But something you're always losing is time. It is what it is.
Simple and direct.
Yeah.
Listen, okay. A man, a few words. That's probably about the last time that's going to happen. Okay. All right. And then my homie, my friend, do it as always. Can't do it any better. Today, he ain't got no tie, but he chilling. Mr. Sir Hale. How's it going, sir?
Hey, salute, Humble Dad. I appreciate you having me on, man.
Always, bro. I enjoy your conversation, man. Real talk. You got the question?
Yeah, so with 4 kids, I'm always losing money. School fees, they need some extra. I'm losing money, man, and I need to have a consult with you, Humble Dad, but that's my answer. I'm losing money, man.
That's what's up. I can help you with that, actually. You know what I'm saying? I am somewhat of a financial guru. You know what I'm saying? All right. Thank you for your answer. Thank you for being here today. You know what I'm saying? All right. And then we're going to bring to the stage. He changed his name for this evening, Mr. Ricky Williams.
What's good?
Allow me to reintroduce myself. My name is...
What's happening with y'all? What's happening?
That's a cool intro, honestly, bro.
Man, the question, right?
Yeah.
You Proto took my answer, so shout out to my brother, you know what I'm saying? Man, opportunities. If we're being honest, with time we lose opportunity. So I think, but me personally, I think time is the most important commodity anyone could have. But with losing time, we lose opportunities. Opportunities to tell our loved ones we love them, right? Opportunities to hug our children, to go outside and catch some sunlight, right? To do the things we promised ourselves we was going to do the day before. We lose opportunities. That's what I'm losing. So
That's good. That's good. All right. And then we're going to welcome to the stage my sister in love, Miss Shan. What's up?
Good evening, everyone. Prototype did take my answer, but here lately, I know that was such a good one.
Wow. That's what's up.
Here lately, I've also been losing sleep. Surprisingly, it's bad, but yeah, I'm working on fumes. With 4 kids, end of the year, school stuff, it is what it is. So I'm losing sleep currently.
How many hours do you try to get?
6. And I think I'm averaging about 4.5. I know. So yeah, but Jesus, this weekend he laid me on my behind. So started happening, sinus pressure, all kind of stuff. I just was not myself. So I at least got plenty of rest this sleep. So yeah.
Rest this what?
I got plenty of rest this weekend.
Oh, okay. I thought you said rest
I
this
probably
week.
did. You're right.
But it's cool. It's cool. All right, no worries, no worries. All right. You know what I'm saying? My homie, my friend, the reason why we do this every Monday, Mr. Dwayne Jones.
Yo. All right. So hello, good people. Now to the question at hand. The thing I be losing the most are my tools. Ain't nothing like a job that I need a good old screwdriver for, and I can't find it. Then that 5-minute job turns into 50. Then I just give up, and it never gets done.
So you don't even go try to find it?
Well, the thing is, I do. Like yesterday, I lost some screws for this bed I'm trying to put together. I lost it a while ago, and I found it today. I was looking for it yesterday. Sometimes, I don't know if y'all ever did this, like playing a video game and or something, you get stuck and you got to come back and get at it months later. That's me and finding stuff.
That's what's up. Hey, he was gone last week, but he's back here now, and he went somewhere with his wife. You know what I'm saying? I don't know where, but anytime you can hang out with your wife, just you and her, it's a beautiful thing. Mr. Montavious Young in the building.
How everybody doing?
Good. Welcome back, bro.
Oh yeah. I do not know what the question is. I don't think I got
bad.
it on time.
What is one thing you're always losing?
Oh man, one thing I'm always losing. Well, I'll just be honest. My patience. I've been working on that.
That's what's up.
I feel like God gave me a lot of opportunities to practice what you preach. So sometimes I think I can try to tell people the way I raise my kids or some things, but sometimes the stem is just short and I just kind of react out of frustration or anger or just whatever the case may be. And then sometimes I have nothing to do with them, but I would just say my patience, man, just being honest with y'all.
That's what's up. That's good. Thanks for the honesty. And then welcome to the stage, Miss Dia.
Hey.
Wait. Were you excited about that? Hey, like it sounds like you didn't really want to say it.
I got my answer to the question.
Okay, go ahead.
My Wi-Fi signal. I'm just saying.
That was on point. Good show.
One.
And then that's what happened. It did it to her again. That's crazy. Right on time. But
I smile too, right, Sir Hill?
Yeah, that's what he said. But he would be simping if he said it again, right?
Yeah, I'll refrain from any further comments or compliments tonight.
So I would say for me, I'm always losing my keys. Like I don't understand. I put them in the same place. I guess not all the time, but like when I don't put them in the same place, I can't remember where I put them. And so it takes. And so when you have to be somewhere, and Shan know this, Dwayne do too. Like I got to be on time, or I feel like I'm late, right? And you are late, but it's very there's an anxiety that comes with it when I'm late because I can't get back to time, like y'all talked about, right? And so it happened this morning. I could not find out where my keys were, and I was already late. Guess where they were? In my pocket from the day before. So that's what it was, man. So thank y'all for being here. We're gonna have a great show, and we're gonna get it started like this. Last week we was talking about leaders and the decisions that they make. Should they be followed? I think Ricky kind of expounded upon whether it's a good or bad leader. You chose them, so to speak. So you gotta either follow or move on. Some to that degree, right? Okay, so let's see. Here you go. You're in the back. Did you want to come up? We'll try one more time.
I don't know what's going on with my signal. But
Okay, we'll try one more time, see how it goes. No worries. And so the first question that I wanted to talk about for us is, how would you define a leader? Okay, Now, I want to kind of be more specific in saying, okay, give me 1 or 2 words that you're going to use to describe a leader, and then you can expound upon those particular words, so they will not necessarily take what somebody else is going to say. So, and we'll start with Shan. What's a leader? What 2 words would you use to describe a leader, and then expound upon those 2 words?
My first word is accountable. And my second word is probably unwavering. So I would say accountable, because as a leader, despite, if you're leading, that means someone is following you, right? So you are responsible for those people or whoever that is, whether they're looking at you, whether they're listening to what you have to say. If you're leading, generally, you're not a leader unless someone is following. So if there are people who are following you, then a lot of times you have to be accountable for what you're doing, what you're saying, how you're moving, how, you're doing things, because there are people watching. So I think a leader should be able to take accountability of their actions, of their words, for those who may be watching. Also, someone who is unwavering. Like as a person who leads, you have to have a viewpoint, you have to have an opinion, you have to have a belief system about something, and you have to be able to stick to it. If anything that comes at you can be thrown at you and you're going to change your mind, you're going to waver, that person does not make a good leader. So it has to be somebody who is able to kind of take the throws and punches or what comes at them and be able to stand, be unmovable in what it is that they believe.
Who you got going next?
Let's go over to Prototype.
Dang, Shan, I would hate to be your leader, man. You got a lot on that man's shoulders, boy. Man, a leader to me is just somebody who like gets in the mud and doesn't quit with you. You know what I mean? That says like, we can do this, we can execute on this, whatever. If most people are wavering, as Shan would say, or having doubt about a situation, the leader's going to, instill some confidence and make everybody believe that we can do this, and then get in the mud and get it done. You know what I'm saying? So it's not so much of a, you can't waver, you can't do this, you can't do that, because even Jesus wavered. You know what I'm saying? So I don't know, but like it's like if somebody just gets in the mud and is there till it's over. You know what I'm saying? So that's a leader to me. Just that amount of integrity, that character. You know what I mean? So we'll go with Martavius, because it looked like his brain's boiling.
Man, I'm just tired. That's all. I've been trying to lead these little kids doing T-ball, and let me tell you, told my wife I'm not going back. I'm gonna say the 2 words I wrote down was mature and seasoned. I think when we speak about leadership, everybody thinks they're leading. I like what Shan said. If you're somebody chooses to follow you, then you're a leader. Sometimes I don't really think that's the case, because I think sometimes you can have a lot of influence and still not be a leader, because you lead people the wrong way. So you could tag them a leader or could not. I just think that's more so influence. So with leadership, I think it's have to be, when I say like mature, you have to be mature enough to learn when to follow, understanding like there's going to be people who are going to come into your life who is your job to teach these people, almost like eagles. At some point you have to push them out of the nest. And I think that just business or whatever the case may be, relationships, whatever the case may be, you have to allow people to grow up. And I think that comes with maturity. Understand, like you can't put people in a box and expect them to stay there. Your job is, as a leader, is to teach these people to outgrow that box that you're putting them in. And when I say seasoned, I think about, talked about it before, one of the best piece of marriage advice that I got from a guy. He said, in marriage, there's going to be seasons. Things are going to happen. And he said you have to build history with your spouse during those seasons. So when I think about a leader and you think about whether it's business or whatever the case may be, they always have a story of something that they've been through and how they can help you in that specific thing that you're going through. So when I say seasoned, that means, you know, they're not just getting on talking because they have a platform. They actually have receipts of what they've been through. They actually can prove that, you know, I've been through some things. I've seen where you're at now. I've been in your shoes. I've been in your place, and I can teach you how to get out of this place that you're in. So when I think about season, I just think about somebody who's mature enough to understand. Like you said, you don't have to be perfect. You don't have to be unwavering, but you've seen enough stuff to understand that, you know, the rain don't last forever. I just got to hold on until it passes. And I think that's what the season part come in. So I'll just leave mine there, and I'll just take it over to Miss Dia.
I would say self-aware. I think it's important for us to know ourselves as far as our strengths and our weaknesses, because a leader would need to be able to delegate, and he needs to know, or she needs to know, where they're strong and where they're weak, so they could delegate tasks accordingly. So that, and then I would say conscious, meaning aware of what reality is, like in the moment, not who I used to be, what I want to be, but what's going on right now and how I'm gonna handle the task in front of me, rather than think.
We'll see if she can come back. You know, this happens all. It's the internet, right? All right. So we'll go with let's see, with Ricky. What you got?
What is a leader?
Yeah.
If we being technical, anybody who convince you can go, anybody who can convince you to go their way.
Okay.
If we being technical, right? Anyone who can convince you to follow them is a leader. Right? There's leaders all in our society, but y'all don't look at them as such. Beyonce, Meg Thee Stallion, Derek Jackson, Fresh and Fit, you name it, right? So anybody who can get, now is it your type of leadership, right? Is the leadership you want? That's the question, right? Like this falls back on what I said last week. Again, the man, he's, no matter what you think of his leadership, he's still a leader, right? So even if you don't agree with it, he's still the leader if you don't agree with it while you're there, right? So again, anybody who can convince you to go their way, right? Like my brother Prototype said, some people, the type of leader they need, they got to see that person get down in the dirt with them, right? Stay in the mud and keep with their attrition, right? Some people look at a leader, all they got to do is spit good. Some people look at people and all you got to do is have a nice suit, you know, and tell them what they want to hear. That's what a leader is. I'll go to Mr. Sir Hale after that one.
A good question. So depending on your context, is going to influence what your idea of a leader is. So if you're religious, then somebody that can pontificate the scriptures in such oratorical fashion that rouses, right? So if you are religious, that's what it's going to be. If you are somebody who makes money, then the person with the biggest bag. So I think it really depends. But at its core, leaders do two things, and they embody these two things. They influence. And when I say influence, they conduct themselves in a certain way that it makes people look at them and at least ask questions as to how they do what they do. So they influence people. The other big component of that is the influencer inspires. So however they conduct themselves, it makes the people who are following them want to listen to their advice to obtain something that they have, whether this is status or looks. You know, in this space, guys want women or women want a husband. So when you look at a particular person, they influence you, but they inspire you toward a particular end. And then if I could merge those things together, they instruct you on how to do those things. So influence, inspire. wrap those. It's instruction leading you to a particular goal or outcome.
That's good. Anybody wanted to add to that? Okay. So go ahead. Dwayne, did you want to say something?
Yeah, no, I'll jump in there. I'll throw my 2 words in there.
Oh, yeah. Okay, go ahead.
It'll be trailblazer. Someone who blazes a trail, and that's the path that you so feel fit that you would like to go down, or somebody else will go down. So a leader typically will lead the way, and then ones will follow behind them. But just like y'all were saying, though, a leader could either be good or bad. It just depends on what ends you would like to get to. So if they're going in the right direction, in the direction that you would like to head in, and they just happen to be in front of you, you'll follow.
Interesting. I'm gonna follow with this particular question, because if you all are saying that there's a such thing as a good and bad leader, but then you also say that whoever you decide to follow is a leader, then my question would be, then who determines who is a bad leader? Who determines who is a bad leader? And we'll start with Sir Hale.
The outcome.
Simple as that.
That's it.
It got to be more than that.
Explain, Prototype. Why does it have to be more than that?
I mean, because people could take up leadership based on a lot of different situations. So just because the outcome ends up bad doesn't necessarily, like, there could be a good coach to a team, but if his players suck, then, you know, he only could do so much. You know what I'm saying? They still not going to the playoffs. You know, they might not have a losing season, but he didn't have much to work with in the first place. So you can't necessarily determine the outcome of a situation, because your outcomes are different, right? Like if your expectation is Super Bowl, and you know you all you did was have a 9-8 season, you know what I'm saying? But you didn't have any players. It all depends on, you know, what you consider the outcome to be or what you want it to be. So if you're talking about championship, you know what I'm saying? But that's a hard thing to get, you know what I'm saying? So you can't necessarily call it like that.
So I'll give you an example why I say that. So, and this is not to toot my own horn, but you know, your boy a good coach. But anyway, so what happened was last year, I coached a basketball team. And before I got there, my first year coaching, they lost every single game, right? I took the same boys who last year lost every single game, and we had the winningest record. It was 7-2. And the difference was the parents came back to me and told me that one thing that I did was what I just said. I inspired the guys, and these were smaller guys. Like the competition we played a lot of times were bigger. But when you can inspire somebody and you can instruct them on how to win and exploit, different moves, you can pull stuff out of them. And so in terms of coaching or whatever you do, the outcome is that it is what determines you. Like, how can you say you're a good leader and there's no outcome to validate that? Or
so
I'm gonna land here. Or let's say I'm a good husband. There's no outcome to justify that. Or I'm a good manager and there's no outcome. So the harsh truth is the outcome determines whether or not we're a good leader. But when you dig into it, there are reasons that might contribute to a bad outcome. But we're not judged just by the details.
But the question
is
is
outcome.
The question is bad leader, right? Who determines if someone's a bad leader, right? That's what he asked. And you're acting like there is no in between a good leader. Like those are two separate.
I'm not acting like anything.
Well, there's two separate ends of the scope. There's a good, great leaders. You know what I'm saying? You win a Super Bowl, you're a great coach. You know what I'm saying? And if you lose, if you have a losing season, you're a terrible. Like, you know what I'm saying? So there's a lot of things that's in between. There's a lot of gray when it comes to what's good and what's bad. So just calling somebody bad, they could be good, you know what I'm saying? Or they could be decent, they could be average. There's a lot of gray in between it. And just deeming somebody bad, like, oh, they're a bad coach because they didn't win a Super Bowl. You know what I'm saying? So it's not necessarily outcome. You got to really look at all the pieces of the puzzle to really make that decision on what this person could be or is.
Well, just to add to that point, though, the question, though, wasn't necessarily about coach. The question was about leadership, and a coach doesn't necessarily mean you're a leader, right? That just means you have a position. I'll go so far to say this: you can be working with somebody at a job, and somebody's the manager. The manager doesn't mean that they are the leader. They might be the person who can give instruction, and people got to follow them. But then you got the other person who's on that particular team with people who actually want to listen and follow them, right? So a position, coach, whatever, that in itself doesn't make you a leader.
Yes, it does.
Interesting take. All right, say Shane, jump in. Well, Dwayne, was you came off mic?
Go ahead, Shane.
Yeah, go ahead, Shane.
I was going to say this question is all based on whatever you feel determines it. So if he wants to say outcomes, that's so be it. However, I could agree with it, right? So at the end of the day, there are particular things that we are looking at that we believe should be, I guess, the outcome. And if that doesn't happen, then we would probably determine that person was a bad leader. Whatever those things are, whatever experiences that you bring to the table, whatever judgments you bring to the table, if it doesn't align with somebody's leadership and how you think things should end overall, we determine that person individually may be a bad leader. And whatever beliefs I have about something is going to be totally different than the next person.
I would say the only thing, this is my last point, the only thing that would determine somebody a bad leader is them not recognizing the talent they have and not being able to motivate it to its best ability. That's a bad leader. Somebody who can't do that. You know what I'm saying? But if you get your whole team to the best ability, every player to the best ability, and all you can come up with is a losing season, or in Rick's terms, a lost fight. You know what I'm saying? Like, if that's just the best they had, you know what I'm saying? But without that leadership, without that coach, they could have died in the ring, or you know what I'm saying? Or they could have. There's a lot of things that could play a part in that. I think you only could determine it by if they can draw out the best in what they have. That's the only way to kind of determine that.
So you're agreeing with what I said moments ago. That's exactly it. They influence and they inspire. So we agree.
I personally think the only one who can determine what a bad leader is a leader. You're a follower. What they say, it's all in God's plans, whether it's good or bad, right? Whether it's good or bad, it's all in God's plans. Because he's the leader. You look at him as a father figure, as the person who having all the answers. So it's not good or bad, or you indifferent. You're a follower. It's my plan, whether you like it or not, whether you agree with it or not, it's my plan. So until I say the plan is messed up, the plan ain't messed up.
You know what? I just want to add to that real quick, because most good leaders, and this is just something that I've noticed, most good leaders are really self-critical. Like, other people think that they're great leaders. They always question it, could they have done something better? So it's very difficult for a leader to say, I'm a great leader, because most great leaders are always considering the work that they need to do to become better, and they never stop to see the impact that they're having until somebody makes it clear to them.
What you got, Dwayne?
Yeah, I'll say, just like beauty, it's in the eye of the beholder. So as for leaders, it's a good leader or bad leader is depending on the person that you choose to follow and whether or not they're going in the direction you thought they were going. That's how I put it. But then, in addition to that, you can learn from you could learn good leadership from a bad leader, and you could also learn good leadership from a good leader. In the sense of, you'll be able to see the things in which they do and whether or not you are the one you approve of it, and or if you're able to apply it to your situation or your life and have it work. I would see that would be all right, that this person knows what they're doing. What it checks out, they're going in the right direction, and I would like to continue. So then that's how you say, okay, all right, that's where I'd like to go. I've had bad managers, and they tend to be bad leaders. Leading and management are not the same thing. So like whenever we're talking about someone made mention of a job, you can have a manager, but terrible leader. They're not the same thing. So for leadership for me is someone who's willing to get out there. Not only that, as for the self-critical, they're open for the next best idea that's outside of themselves in order to be able to be better. So a good leader in itself desires to be better. Some people are not self-aware in order to get to that point, because they think that pride is involved, and I don't think that's a part of a good leader. So, yeah, that's my 2 cents.
What you got, Mr. Young? We'll come to you, Rick. Right here.
Yeah, that can go several ways. I would just say me and my wife, we've been in a built a business just based on building leaders and being a leader ourselves. So we train leaders, and like sometimes it's not about you. Sometimes it's about the people who under you and their mindset. So you can be a great leader teaching everybody to do things, but if they aren't willing to, if your players, Sir Hale, aren't willing to submit to what you're teaching them as a coach and be willing to come under your influence, actually follow what you're saying, then they wouldn't see the fruit of that. So for me, I say just the mass number of people that's following you, because in the end, like, you're either going to be an excuse of why they're not succeeding or example of why they are. And the testimonies are going to come from the people that's actually submitted to what you're trying to teach, or the values or the foundation that you're laying. So for me, I say the outcome, but I think it's not just one particular thing, because we could talk about football, but then you got to factor in so many other things, because that's kind of hard. But so when we talk about football, so for me, a successful coach isn't what you're doing on the football field. Like, how successful are the guys that's graduating college? What are they doing after that you get done teaching them on football? What are they going home? What are they doing then? So for me, being a football player, like, that's how I rate coaches. So as far as business or marriage or whatever the case may be, so I have to look at the people that's following you, and then I have to look into their lives and see how things are going into their lives. And I think that ultimately to me is going to determine like who gets to determine a bad leader, or the people who follow you. Because I mean, like I said, we can talk about the people in the church. That's probably not a good example, because they always talking about people. So just with anything, the people, if you work at a company and you're a bad CEO or you're a bad manager, like, you can't say that you're a good manager. Just go sit in the break room. People are going to be talking about you for a reason. They know that you're a micromanager. They know that you're a bad leader. These are the people that work under you. So they see what you do on a daily basis. The things that you don't see that you're doing wrong, that they see every single day. Like, these are the people that's going to determine whether you get to move up the chain or not. These are the people that's going to be speaking on your behalf. I wouldn't work at this job because of this person. So for me, I think it's the people who are under you, who see what you do in your daily life, who see how you treat people, who see your leadership skills at work every single day, and not when you go into a convention speaking on leadership. So I just think it's ultimately comes down to the amount of people that's following you, and just the fruit in their lives and how they view your leadership and the results that they're seeing, whether in the workplace or in their job. And that's just my opinion on that.
Yeah. What you got, Ricky?
I got a little pushback. Because the truth is, right, there's plenty of people, and y'all don't nobody want to do it on a panel today, but on any other panel, when y'all talk about celebrities and billionaires, you think Jeff Bezos gave a fuck what his employees thought? You think Bill Gates cared who he had to step on to make it? Isn't he a great leader?
I wouldn't technically put them in. That's like a whole different.
No, it's
so
not.
Like I said, there's influence and there's leadership, and then you have fame. So like, we're talking leadership.
Let me finish.
Okay.
Microsoft is the biggest company in the world. Tesla is opening up an entire new market for vehicles. Are they not great leaders? Their employees might hate them. You might hate them. But what true leaders do, right, is they follow the plan to fruition. That's the facts. A true leader follows the plan to fruition, no matter what it takes or who it costs. This is facts. The point of the matter is so let's apply it to relationships, right? Let's apply it to a relationship. Now, I'm going to use my boy Proto because he's the prototype. You know what I'm saying? He's the perfect example, right? He got a girl, right? He got a wife that he said he chose out of many. Hey, they was everywhere. It wasn't no problem, right? I could have chose 1 out of 10, but he chose that one, right? Not because of Not only because, like he said, he wanted a legacy, but she followed him. She understood what his mentality was in his leadership. Right? You think everything that Proto does, his wife enjoys, that she agrees with? No, but that doesn't make him a great leader. He's willing to follow the plan to fruition. And whatever he got to do, like he said, I'm gonna get down in the mud with you if I got to get it, right? Right. So again, like Sir Hill said, it's all dependent on the outcome you want. Like to us, Bill Gates, he's trying to kill everybody. He's buying up all the farms, all the conspiracy theories, right? But to the Microsoft board, he a hell of a leader. He a hell of a leader. To Tesla,
I
when
think
they stop
that's
going up and up, he's a hell of a leader.
that's why they got boards, because they don't trust you making all the decisions. Come to a pastor. Think about at a church. You don't just decide you're gonna pastor this church. They have a board. They have to vote you in.
Yes, you do. Yes, you do. What are you talking about? Once
If
you a pastor first, then the church get bigger, and then they do a board. Correct? A pastor first. It first got to be a pastor to a church before a church is even established. Correct?
I'm just saying that's why they put these things in place, because you do have good and bad leaders, and most times it's not about. And when you get to like things like this, corporations or whatever the case may be, like
I understand it's good and bad leaders, right? But a church is a corporation just like Microsoft. But y'all want to have them talks though.
But the people still are able to determine if they want to continue to work there, right? You've said in marriages that if a woman didn't feel like a man was leading, it is her determination to leave. So if she deems him a bad leader, she can deuce out. If somebody feels that Microsoft, whoever they may be, regardless of their status, their popularity, their money, if they deem them a bad leader, they still have the right to deuce out and go somewhere else and find another job.
But
so
that doesn't.
Individual would still make that determination.
But understood. But your opinion of him doesn't make him a bad leader. It just makes him a bad leader for you.
Yeah. So in the real world, it's back to outcomes. That's really what it's about. So look, you guys remember this movie came out, I want to say in the 80s, Lean on Me? Y'all remember that movie? So remember, what is his name? Mr. Clark, Joe Clark. He goes into the school. He's hot-headed. You know, he's setting order. He's setting law down. Everybody dislikes him. His style is controlling. Over time, though, because he has an aim to get these grades up, he don't give a care about what you're saying about him. And he don't give a care about how you feel about him. He is trying to work toward an outcome. And anybody who's going to get in his way, he's going to bulldoze, because he's not worried about people's feelings. Because sometimes leaders understand this. You don't have enough perspective on how I'm trying to help you to appreciate me right now. And I think that if we judge our leadership based off of people, you ain't got it. You ain't been through enough to understand and appreciate what I'm bringing to your life. You'll miss the mark. So he kept going after what is all said and done. They passed their grades. You know, and then he's heralded as this great leader. Then we get the song Lean on Me. So I think this is what leadership is. You can't determine your quality solely based on people, particularly in a time where they don't understand what you're capable of and you haven't reached an outcome. You see what I'm saying? And even the best leaders got people talking about them. You know, I know some great leaders who people say they'll never work for them because of something. So it's not based on my perspective of your leadership. This is what you came in here to do. Did you get this done? And you said it earlier, do we pull out the best in others to achieve this as well? Right. So it's based off outcomes.
Yeah, but some leaders ain't, if they can't pull what they need out of you, you gone. And that's their form of leadership. They will deem that leadership successful because you weren't fitting into their plan. So they cut you. And to them, in their mind, that outcome of you being gone is credited as good leadership, because now you being a problem is out of their way.
I'll give you this example. So there's in business, there's the reason why the hiring process for a lot of big companies are slow is because I want to say the investment in a particular employee is between like $90,000 and $160,000. So the investment in terms of me trying to pull quality out costs something. I think there's a lot of people who they've never invested enough to pull out great greatness in people. Like you can't say be great. You can't. There's an investment, and I guess that's another component of what a leader does. It not only he inspires, he instructs, but he also invests or she invests as well. And you have to manage that investment and see that it develops as well. So I say that to say a lot of times we don't think people fit because we haven't given them enough time to adapt to what we got going on. And depending on how complex it is, it determines how long it's going to take for them to acclimate. But you can't assume that because it's not pulled out of them yet, right? It's like this. I've seen it where a man is like, what, I can't deal with this wife. She a terrible wife, she a terrible woman. And then she get with another dude, and the other dude get the best version of the woman. And you try to determine what happened here. And I think a lot of times it has to do with what did you manage the investment properly, and did you feed it properly for it to grow into what you wanted it to be. So I don't want to prematurely judge and say, if we get rid of them soon because they're not acquiescing to the plan. The bigger question is, how much did you invest? And if you can say you invested adequately and then they didn't, then that justifies, that's what leadership does. I've invested, this didn't work, now I have to move on.
Okay, so I'll give another example pertaining to that. Then I believe it's pertaining to that. So like whenever you have a new party that comes into government, typically there is an exodus that happens where they push out the people that are aligned with your side and bring in their own, let's say, bring in their own cabinet. So as for that form of leadership, they're bringing in somebody or the people that are able to then be proponents of their agenda and of their goal in order to then push whatever agenda it is that they need the people to follow or buy into. So there is a change in the guard for that particular purpose to suit, like you were saying, as for that outcome. But then again, the qualifier even in this question is bad. So bad is relative. So what may be bad to me may be good to somebody else. What may be good to somebody else may be bad for me. So again, that goes with the outcome. But before that, I think you even whenever it comes to dating, you just don't hop in like you just like somebody from Uber and you're just along for the ride. No, you plan it. It's a plan. You before getting in, so it's not you're not getting blindsided per se. So for a woman, if the man is supposed to lead, you don't get married and not know what his leadership qualities are. You don't, or it wouldn't be smart to. In the same sense,
no, they do get married and don't know what his leadership qualities are. It happens all the time.
So if is that a good? Would you say that's a good thing or a bad thing?
I'm saying they don't know how to see it.
No, but just to generalize, if a woman, if we're supposed to, if it's about mate selection and women has a role to play in the mate selection, would it be a good thing for them to choose someone that they have no idea about their leadership skills or that they vetted?
They don't have the ability to choose correctly.
So your wife didn't have the ability to choose correctly?
No.
Ooh.
So are you a bad choice?
No, I ain't a bad choice. But
how does she know that if she didn't even?
She didn't know. I could have been a terrible choice. She didn't know. She don't know. No woman knows. No woman knows how to choose a man. They don't know. They don't know.
You gotta dig yourself out of that prototype.
I don't gotta dig myself out. They don't know.
Oh, okay, so let me ask you.
That's an interesting response because go ahead, Dwayne. I'll say something after you.
No, prototype. You have a daughter, right? Or
yeah.
Two? Oh, okay.
She's terrible.
I'm assuming this goes back to this is why he should be a part of the process.
Facts.
Okay. And I'm gonna mute myself again.
But being a part of the process means that you're helping to give a particular perspective as for what to look for.
It's not even a perspective. It's an absolute pick this.
Oh, better yet.
It's an absolute
no.
Overwhelming. Do this, not that. It's not give my advice. It's do this as if you're talking about the father, right?
Well, not particularly. I was like, just like for you.
What what girl is gonna listen to you?
None of them.
That's the problem, and that's the problem.
I mean, it's a case. She's not going to listen. They're not going to listen, but at the same time, they don't know no better.
Led well enough to teach her.
Okay, so I guess
I got a whole thing about this one.
So I guess let me. So if they don't listen, are you saying that we shouldn't say anything?
No.
I got a follow-up question to that as well.
I'm saying this. I'm saying they don't listen. You just have to not force, but you gotta be the shepherd to the sheep. Sheep.
The thing, you got a hook on the end of it.
I got a follow-up.
But if she goes astray, then she goes astray. Like you can't stop her from making the choices she's making.
But the thing, faith comes by hearing. So in order for them to have faith in anything, you have to say something. And if we don't say something, somebody else is. I mean,
no, I'm not saying not say nothing. I'm saying say something. Say something until you're blue in the teeth. But are they going to listen? There's a high chance they're not.
I got a just one follow-up for one follow-up for prototype.
We having a discussion. I'm good. Go ahead.
Prototype. So if she doesn't listen, does that make you a bad leader?
Oh, stop it. Oh man, stop it. Oh, where's my button?
No, it doesn't.
And that's what we're talking about, right? So this pulls back to what we were talking about earlier. You can't judge your leadership based off of what people are saying about you.
I said
right?
that.
It's based off, you didn't. You disagree with me. And
you said it's off the result, outcome. And I said you can't base it off of the result. You're saying I was debating the good and the bad and how there is gray. You can't say somebody is bad just because they're not good.
Yeah, Prototype said that. This is the part of the question is who determines it? Well, it's the person that's following that will determine if that individual is a good leader for them, right? That's really what it ultimately comes down to. Now, when we go back to Prototype's position, there's data that would suggest that women don't do good at picking leaders as it relates to relationships. I mean, the information is out there, right? And the information that you can allude to is because they decided to divorce the dude. Like it's 80% that they decide to divorce. Like women are the ones that, even if we go before marriage, if you talk about relationships, women break up relationships before the man does, right? Now, mind you, men are willing to.
I don't like that stat.
I don't care. Okay, men are willing to stay in a relationship even if it's uncomfortable.
But we'll do the bare minimum to push them out the door.
I'm not disagreeing with that, right? I'm not disagreeing with that. However, he shows that early on, right? He shows characteristics of his leadership ability early, right? But because some women, not all, right? I apologize, okay? Not all, but women tend to go more on emotions than the logic of things, right? And so because this dude gives me the goosey, the gooiness or the energy or the sexual energy or whatever, because he give me these goosebumps, then that's what they're leaning into, right? There's a checklist that he's kind of fits, as opposed to one of the main things is what is his integrity? What's his character like? What is his leadership ability? Right? What examples have I been in, or what questions have I asked him before I get into, I think that we should sleep together type deal is what I'm saying. Right. So do most women pick bad leaders in the sense of a dude that wants to be married? That's what I'm judging it by. Like a dude that's ready to be a husband, right, is a good leader in my estimation. Right. And we can talk about what that looks like. But if he's not even talking about wanting to be married and you are, you should be gone. Like it shouldn't even be anything further than that. Right. So, but the part of the question that we're talking about, the person who determines who is a good or bad leader is the people that are following. Right. Because if they decide not to follow, he can still be a good leader, but nobody would believe that though. Nobody would believe that I'm a good leader when there's nobody following me. Like nobody's gonna believe that. So every year, and I landed here. Every year I go when I was a teacher, I would go in. I said, "Listen, I'm probably gonna be your best teacher ever, right?" And then that was gonna be up to them to determine if what I said was accurate by how it is that they followed me, right? And if they decided to check out, and Shan knows as teachers, like there are students that just like, I don't even want to listen to you, right? But if you're a good leader, and like for example, Hitler was a good leader, right? Hitler was a very, very good leader. What he did was really bad from our perspective, but how he was able to infiltrate a particular system, he came from the bottom to the top, basically, right? To annihilate people off the planet. And he was able to do that through influence. He influenced people to say, what I'm doing is correct, and you need to help me do this. He shut down churches. You know what I'm saying? So much so they were like, hey, we're not going to do that because he's going to do something to us. So a good leader is someone, as y'all talked about, the outcome. If they have a goal on the board, their vision board, right, and they're able to accomplish that based on their vision board, then they are a good leader based on what that is, right? So if somebody wanted to add to that, they can. And if not, we're going to transition.
Yeah. So just actually, this is for you. Yes, so, okay, my perspective on this shifts slightly because I'm thinking when I hear good, I'm attaching some type of morality to good, like some type of ethics to good, right? So are we not doing this when we say that this is a good leader? Because when you talk about Hitler, that's not a good. He was an effective leader, but a good leader, I can't attach that good to that.
That's fine. If we that's what I'm saying. It's based on your standard, though, right? Your particular standard says that he was the bad leader, but the people that followed him.
No, I said he was an effective leader.
I know you're saying he was effective, right? But you would also say you would say he was a bad leader. But the people that followed him and executed out his plan would say that he was a good leader based on their own morality. You see what I'm saying?
But see, morality. See, that's the point. But we can switch on. But like, it's just hard for me to attach good. Like when I think about good, and from a Christian perspective, there's some ethics and some standards and some, there's some principles behind that. It's not just good in terms of we accomplished something. Like I think Hitler was effective. Like that, I have to give him credit. He was a powerful, effective leader. But good, I can't give him that.
But your statement prior was outcome. You said a good leader is
effective. Yeah.
No, you said outcomes make them a good leader, was your statement. Right? And so his outcome was what he wanted it to be. Yeah. And so because of that, that made him a good leader to all the people that he was leading. It's unfortunate what he did, right? In my opinion, he was a bad leader because of the morals that I carried, right? But from the position of he had a whole nation be able to do. Multiple nations did exactly what he wanted them to do. He was influential. He was charismatic. He was like homegrown. Like he was an individual that was like, okay, he was very strategic in how he put his plan together, and he executed it well, right? And so I'm just saying that when we talk about leaders, it's important to from anybody to look and see what are they doing to be influential to me, and not just look at how they talk, how they walk. There are other aspects of that. And in my opinion, that's one of the things that, and we don't have to get too political, but that's the thing that Barack Obama was able to do, right? Mm-hmm. The way that he was very charismatic, right? He was able to talk in a certain way. And that's any particular politician. They try to figure out what they can do to manipulate their constituents, right? Which allows them to be considered a good leader. And then other people that don't like what it is that they say will say, no, he or she is a bad leader, right? So I digress. Right?
Sir Hale, I struggle with that one too. And I was thinking about that the other day. I was thinking to myself, I was like, man, this orange is good. Wait a minute. good tied to morality in that sense? So like I was thinking about like good and bad, like this describing things or talking, whenever I talk to people, like good as for that qualifier, like it puts value or it adds quality to something. But I was struggling with that one too.
But it's not making sense though. Okay, so again, you could try to put morality to it, but it's about the results at the end of the day. Let's say you're a bank robber.
I'm not talking about you.
I'm talking about you. I'm just talking about the conversation in general. Let's say, okay, so like Oceans, y'all seen Ocean's 11, right? Wasn't Danny Ocean a good leader? They had a mission.
Leader. Phenomenal.
Right? They all had a mission, right? Was it a good thing he was doing? No, he was robbing somebody. He was stealing. They say in the Bible, thou shalt not steal. Don't steal. Right? But he was a great leader nonetheless. He was a great leader nonetheless. It's good is subjective, even though it's subjective. It's all dependent. Like Satan's a great leader. One of the best y'all know.
But at what his outcome though? What was as good? What is his outcome?
It ain't over yet. You don't know.
But he's accomplishing his outcome.
No. That's what I'm saying. So
I can't disagree with Ricky on that one. I can't disagree.
I would say it's good based upon what his agenda
over yet.
Yeah,
it's good based on your vision. You see what I'm saying? That's why I said who a leader is someone who's willing to follow the plan out. I don't care what you think.
But that's their plan, though, right?
Listen to what I'm saying. Just listen to what I'm saying. Hold up. If you was a leader, you wouldn't be under me.
Did you hear what I said?
If you was a leader, you wouldn't be under me. Do y'all understand what that means? Right? So what y'all got to first realize that a person that's looking for a leader lacks the vision thereof. That's the first thing y'all got to point out, right? So again, if you lack the vision thereof, and I'm the one bringing all the ideas to this thing, I'm the one putting the things in place, even though you're part of it, right? It's the game. Y'all can hate it. It's life. It's chess, not checkers, right? So even though you part of it, and I might move you here, or I might move you there, and you might not like it, but at the end of the day, let's say if I was Danny, right? Okay, you didn't want to have to sit up under the ground and sit in that tunnel, but that's where I needed you at. You ain't got to agree with it. You ain't even got to like it. But when the results hit and you get paid, everybody going to be happy, right? A great leader is going to do anything he needs to do to accomplish the goal. Anything. And it doesn't matter if you believe it's good or bad. That's your opinion of the situation. Yours. And everybody's entitled to their opinion.
Yeah, but there won't be would there still be a leader if there's no followers?
Would there be a need for any?
No, I don't think so.
Exactly.
And so I guess that's where, like, from that perspective, as the devil's good leader, so he convinced 1/3 to fall with him, and 2/3 stayed. So as a form of leadership, he did lead some astray, but ultimately, as for the outcome, if the goal was the majority, 2/3 stayed and 1/3 fell. And on earth, as for the goal is to make as many souls perish as possible. That would be success pertaining to that side. The way that I look at it, that's not a leader I want to follow. Therefore, I choose not to follow. Is that person still is that entity? Is the devil still a leader to some, but not for me?
Yeah, and that's the whole point. And that's the whole point.
As for qualifying, good is based on the agenda that they have set. They being the leaders. So, like y'all were talking about earlier, the board. If the board has a certain, it permeates on down, and then all from the top commander down all the way down to the foot soldiers. That is the agenda. Just like y'all was saying though, whether or not you think it's bad or not, if you're under that leadership, you follow it. If not, you're out.
So I just looked at the definition of good to Dwayne's point, and there is a moral component to this, right?
Yes,
so
there's a moral component, but it's not the entirety.
Yeah, exactly. So if you use it as a noun, there's a moral component to it. So I think there is semantics at this point, because you could argue either way, but that word "good" to me is used, like God is a good God. So I use that for God, and then Hitler was a good leader. Hold on, okay. So both of them get the title good. You see what I'm saying? So it makes you think about that, at least from a philosophical perspective. That
How about
as long
this?
as if you attach a morality to it, then very few people could be classified as good. But if we're just simply basing this off of outcome, then it widens the scope and who can actually be deemed as a good leader.
So I was just thinking, like I've heard on the streets, the good, right? Is there a moral component to that, right? I don't know, but as I think about what good means, like there is a moral component to it, and from my worldview, I have a Christian worldview. From my worldview, I know what good means, and whenever somebody says "good God," there's a characteristic. He has traits in which makes him good, in which then he qualifies for that title as for good. But that's whenever I talk to people that don't believe in God, one thing that they struggle with is whenever I do bring up good or bad, because they automatically think that there is that moral component that is assigned to it automatically. And I'm like, I'm as for distancing the two, yes, that is my worldview. But there's an automatic thought that it's based on morality and has to do with God. But for the question, as for good leadership, I'll answer it like this: How do I know what good leadership is? If the Bible says it, if the Bible points out these good leaders, and many of the heroes of the Bible would not be considered morally good. But
David
they were
trash.
I'm sorry.
David was trash.
See, yeah, you mentioned that before. But there's so many things that from a leadership standpoint that you can glean from the account, from the biblical accounts of David. As much as you may think he's trash.
What you got on him, Mr. Young?
Listen, that's a good conversation. Like I said, it can go both ways, just depending on the person. But for me, I just think it just boiled down to, like, everybody that you guys listed. Like, when you're a leader, like you said, you have a vision and you have a plan, and you're gonna make sure everybody follows that vision and that plan. When you have influence, you're just trying to sell people something, or whatever the case may be. So I just think there's a difference in whether it's, I don't think good or bad is the bigger issue, is whether you're a leader or you just have influence or fame. And I just think it kind of boils pretty much down to that. So for me, I don't hear anybody naming their kids Judas, but everybody seems to want to name their kids David and Peter and all of these things. So when I say people in long term, that's for me, it's like, okay, he must have been somebody good and he must have been somebody bad, because we don't see any Judases running around. So
that's what's up. I did have a homie, his name was Lucifer.
Oh yeah, our neighbor, something like that. So he can't even come over. We don't even play that.
That's the extreme, right? Like,
all I'm saying is that leadership is subject to the mission at hand. That's all I'm saying. It's the mission at hand. If you was in the military, y'all know what I'm talking about. It's about getting the job done. You know what I'm saying? At the end of the day, now you can have your feelings about it, but the goal is the goal, and the end game is the end game. And whoever can get you there more efficiently, again, saving you time, effort, and heartache, is the best leader, right? And like I said, and a lot of times you ain't gonna like the way that person leads because it's not you. Most people don't like things that's not done their way, right? This is why I keep telling, like our women, y'all try to tell us how to be leaders. You can't do that. It's a fool's errand, right? And we're foolish for even listening to women to try to tell us how to lead. No, like I said last week, no, it don't matter if your man was good or bad. I'm the man. You choosing to be here at the end of the day. So follow your man. That's what it says in a good book. Like I said, all these Christian women, all y'all women that want a man that love Jesus and he got to be God-fearing, but y'all don't follow the simple laws that y'all want y'all man to hold up to. How that sound?
It sounds like they don't know how to pick leadership.
Shan, you're the only woman on the panel tonight. How you feel about this?
I don't have it in me
Okay.
to go against no one's leadership on the show. Okay, I don't have it in me.
That's new.
I'm listening and I'm learning. How about that?
Listen, that's new Shan right
Respect.
there. That's new Shan right there, because she definitely used to have words, bro. Right?
No.
So congratulations on your growth. So, hey, listen, I think that's good. So as we transition into the main topic, it's about, how do leaders present themselves? Because I was asking my sons this the other day. We was riding, and I was like, do leaders present, like, do leaders say that they are leaders? Like, and Joshua, he was like, he's 11. He was like, no, I don't think so. Right? He said, I don't think leaders to say that they're leaders. And so that's what got me to thinking about this particular question, because we dialogue like that. And so he has his own his perspective on it. But I wanted to talk to you all about it. How do leaders present themselves if the leaders are not saying, listen, I'm the leader, I'm the boss? Well, what are other ways in which they present themselves? So if an individual was to walk into a room, would you know, or how would you know that you would consider them a leader? We'll position it like that. And if you want to transition, I'm sure we will, but we'll start there. Okay. And we'll start with Mr. Dwayne Jones.
I say look at how they initiate, whether it's conversation or whether it's a task. If as for how they take initiative, a leader takes initiative to whatever task it may be that they see that needs to be done. That's it.
Anybody can go.
Oh, geez, it's like that tonight. Dang. Man, I think it's just, if I could be totally transparent from my experiences, that people get a vibe from you and then they just ride it out to see if it's what it is. To be honest, right? I think that's the thing everybody talk about. It's that thing when a man walk in the room, the type of energy he present, or a woman. You know what I'm saying? And people, hey, all right, I think that person is this and that and this. Now, those expectations usually get set before you even know the person, correct? In most cases. Right? And that's why you stick around to see if your expectations is going to be met or exceeded or pooped on. Right? But in the end of the day, how they present themselves, I don't think anybody really said, hey, like, I think the proof is in the pudding. I think the proof is in the pudding. You move a certain way, you do things a certain way, you take accountability when it's time, no excuses. Right? The things you can help, you can help. The things you can't, you can't.
So, you done, Rick?
Mm-hmm.
So all I know is ball, right? And Rick knows sports. Martavius no ball. I don't know what Sir Howell do, but he got them shoulders, so he might have played ball. But I think he's African, so he probably plays soccer.
Just read books on Socrates.
See, whatever. So I would say this
real quick, but I just want to know, what is his name?
Who?
The one you keep calling next to
Sir Howell. Sir Hale.
I don't know what I said. Don't harp on that. Here we go. So look, I would deem a leader like this, right? It's the guy that never takes the shortcuts. It's the guy that always does the work. You know what I mean? So it could be the silent leader, like the dude that never says nothing. But when y'all in the thick of things and that dude says something, we pay attention because we notice this guy never skips. We notice this guy takes everything seriously. He does every rep. The team already noticed who this guy was before he said a word. And he could never say anything until we're down. We need a pick me up. We need something to get us over the hump. And when this dude spoke, everybody shut up and listened because we all respect his integrity. You know what I'm saying? So that's the thing that I value a man based off of his discipline and his integrity. And that's how I deem him a leader. I look at him like, man, dude, super disciplined. Like we look at monks or boxers or anybody, like, man, they super disciplined. I want to be like that. And we put them there. You know what I'm saying? And that's how we know who to respect. And that's how the leadership goes amongst men. I don't think women do that. They don't have that in their repertoire to look at that kind of stuff. But we do. You know what I'm saying? And that's how you deem a leader. You know what I'm saying? So he can never say nothing, but if we notice that his work ethic is on point and it's something that we respect and admire, that's the dude is basically a leader, even if he never says a word.
Thank you for calling us out, Prototype. I appreciate it. My actual answer was going to be the person who probably doesn't say the most in the room. Yeah, we're paying attention.
You missed the whole
clown
point.
That's always running his mouth.
You missed the whole point.
No, we heard you. We did. What I'm saying is, someone
Who is this
running
we?
their mouth,
Who is this we we're talking about? Who is this
someone, the ladies, some of them, not all of them. Okay. But for myself, let me speak for me. If I am in a room with people, the person who I would probably see as a leader is probably going to be the person who is paying attention more than they are running their mouths. Okay. Because you need to be able to understand every person in the room and what is going on. So the most watchful person is probably the person that I'm looking at. And again, similar to what Prototype said, when they speak up, I know that they have been watching. I know that they have been listening. I know that they have been taking notes. And that person probably is going to open their mouths because they have something valuable to say, right? So from my perspective, in my viewpoint, it's not going to be somebody who's constantly running their mouths into something in groups looking for attention. Those people are not leaders to me. So that's what I would be looking at, as how a person is presenting themselves. So you got one lady, Prototype. I can't speak for the rest of them.
Yeah, real quickly. So it's an interesting question because you're not going to be a leader in every environment you go to. And I think that's one of the mistakes that people make. They think that you're going to be the guy or the girl wherever you go. So you want to figure out who a leader is, look at them in their element. Whatever their element is, if this is business, if this is communication, if it's education, if it's the gym, if they're an athlete, look at them in their element. And you see the kind of respect that they command when they are operating in their element. That's going to tell you all you need to know. And the thing about leaders, I think it was Simon Sinek who said this, is leaders just lead. They just do it, right? They're not really focused on a claim. Matter of fact, they don't really understand how much they're leading until people tell them, man, you know what? I really appreciate how you conduct yourself. I've been watching you and it taught me how to do X, Y, and Z. So leaders just lead. And the people who are benefiting from the way that they move end up validating that leadership. Not that they need validation, but you guys know what I mean by that. They end up letting them know, but leaders just do, but they got to be in their element. And I think a lot of times we mischaracterize people as not being a leader because you've never saw them in their element. You're judging them in a realm that doesn't really suit the skills that they have. So look at a person in the element. Like in this space, there are certain people who are leaders in this space. Humble Dad is a thought leader, right? So if you think about the question that he poses, like ask one question and 1,200 questions come out of one question, right? He's a thought leader. Ricky is like, he talks about relationships and he's going to give you the raw truth. He's respected as a leader in the space. So when you're in your element and you operate with a level of excellence and confidence and accuracy, and then it's consistent over a period of time, I think that's the best way to judge who a leader is.
That's good. Who got next?
I'll step in. I pretty much agree with everything that all of you guys saying, just basically because that just describes most leaders. Like you said, you know before they even open their mouth. And I think for me, like for me, it has to be like your actions. Like I have to know that like the fruit of your life, like I have to know it's not just something that was overnight. It's been over time. These are things that you do every single day. That there's habits, there are values and principles that have built you to this point. And I think when I see your life, and then you don't have to show up and be vocal. You don't have to you don't have to like reply to every feedback. You don't have to do this. But when you do talk, like your words carry a lot of weight. So for me, I think that speaks volumes to me. And I think just being in a room with a lot of leaders in our one company we was in, we had this thing that was top income earners, and then you had top leaders, and you had some people who were both. And those people, like Ricky said, like they just move differently. Like top income earners, like they want to tell you about every way to be successful. The ones that's doing the work, while these people are talking, they're showing people like, give me your phone, let me show you how to do this. Let me show you what you should be doing differently over here. And then when it comes to their time to talk, they're actually talking about the people within their business, the success that they're having, and how they're seeing fruit in their life. So I think for me, it just boils down to, like I used to tell people all the time, like your best ability is relatability, because if you can relate to people, then you can lead them to wherever they want to go. So for me, I want to be able to get on your level to where you are, because as a leader, when we talk about being mature and being seasoned, when I get on your level, I understand I'm not coming from your perspective. I'm higher than your perspective. Not pride, not arrogance, not ego. It's growth. It's me going to work. It's me building that foundation by values and principles and these things. And now I'm going to teach you. Like you said, you can't tell somebody go be great. Like you can't start there. Hey, you should start doing this right here while you're brushing your teeth. Like put on a podcast while you're doing this. Instead of listening to rap music on your way to work, listen to this podcast. Listen to that. These are things that's going to build you. And I think that's what leaders do. People used to say all the time, like purpose drips, success leave clues. These are things that leaders are doing every single day. It's like a dog. A dog don't just get up, feed itself, give itself water every single day. As a dog owner, you are a leader, because you're training this dog to follow this routine. So he knows when he comes to that boat, you already have it ready. That's what we have to do to people. Not saying people are dogs, but you got to spoon feed these people until they're old enough to go out and do it themselves. So when I talked about, I know Ricky talked about earlier, like if you're following somebody, then you're not a leader. At one point, I was following people. I had to learn how to lead, because the way that I was leading before, I was leading a lot of people astray. I was leading a lot of people wrong because I was misinformed myself. So when I learned the correct way to lead, it was coming from a different perspective. Hey, I know where you are now. I've done these things. I've been down that path. This isn't going to get you to where you want to go. You're going to continue to go in circles. You're going to continue that cycle that you're trying to break, and that's not the way to break it. These are the things that you should be doing every single day. So as a leader, I think you have to learn how to point people in the right direction and make sure that they're continuing to go to that direction. I always say you can lead a horse to the water, but you can't make him drink. But you still have to get up and lead him to that water every single day to eventually he's going to understand the reason they're bringing me here is because something is here for me. And eventually they're going to drink that, and you don't no longer have to bring them. So for me, it's about taking people somewhere, showing up every single day, and just understanding that you as a leader have to be mature enough to understand not everybody's on your level, but you have to be willing to come down to their level to help bring them up, or at least build a bridge so they can cross over, and not a ladder that they feel like they can't climb. So I think a lot of people are so far ahead of people that they feel like they want to climb and get to places that people feel like they can't obtain to that. So that's just my version of that in a long form.
That was dope. What you got, Prototype? You look like you got a response.
Nah, he always do that. Like, oh, you can't build a ladder that they can't climb. You got to build a bridge. He said something
That's
else.
the truth,
That's like,
man.
no, he be on point, man. Like it just be like poetry. Like, so that's all that was.
Oh, so that was a compliment.
I guess so. Yeah.
I'm not simping, man.
Yeah.
Dang.
Get him, sir. Get him, sir. Get him, sir.
Hey, that's good stuff, man. Hey, listen.
That's my first one. I wasn't on 7.
Listen, however you want to put it.
Doubling down. Double standard.
However you want to say it, bro. Listen, I want to give a shout out to y'all for listening to each other. Because you all are able to rebuttal or respond to somebody that said something probably like 2-3 questions ago, right? And that's something that most people can't. Like most people are not able to do that part about the listening thing. You know what I'm saying? So that's what's up. So that's good. So shout out to you all. So our next question, like y'all was talking about these leaders, that there's good and bad leaders. We talked about how leaders present themselves. And then you all said that I think it may have been Sir Hill or said Hive. Okay, said how he said that you have to look at somebody in their particular element to see if they are a leader, right? So my question is everyone a leader then? Like, is everyone a leader if there is a particular area that people are leading in? Okay, and anybody can go. Like anybody.
I think someone said it earlier that we have strengths and weaknesses. And so, in areas where we may be strong, maybe those are opportunities for people in general to lead. So, I think at certain points in life, in certain situations, maybe everyone has an opportunity to lead. I know this goes into the good and the bad, but maybe you are not leading well. You just have an opportunity to lead. It doesn't mean you're going to be a great leader. It doesn't mean you're going to be good. It doesn't mean you're bad, but you at least have an opportunity at some point to be a leader. I think that's true of every person.
I agree with that. I would say everyone is a leader, right? Every single, so like a lot of you guys work out, got profession, you went through school. You knew that when you get to college, no one was particularly waking you up and telling you to get your classes done. I mean, you probably had people, but ultimately is you. And if you had to use student loans, ain't nobody leading you to help pay that. That's all on you, right? So I say this to say, at the end of everything, even if you don't have a group of people you're leading, you are leading your life, and you are particularly in the West, where we are living in the land of opportunities, whether those are limited or not. You are leading your life, and you're responsible for your outcome. Now, if we're in a different country and we don't have these rights and privileges, then it's a different story. But here in the U.S. particularly, you are a leader. You afforded the opportunity to be a leader. And the good thing about this is you don't have to start off as one. There are so many podcasts, so many books. Martivius spoke on audiobooks is one of the things that I listen to a lot. So not only do you have the opportunity, but you have the resources, and you don't always have to pay for these things. So we are all leaders. This comes right back to your original question: are we a good leader? And I think that's what we all aspire to have to define ourselves as. Am I lazy? Do I procrastinate? Do I not get my job done? Do I not pay my bills on time? Do I not take care of my wife and children? Do I not take care of, right? Do I not take care of my core responsibilities? And that lets you know if you're a good leader to yourself. And what I've seen is people who are great leaders to others, they got discipline that starts with themselves. Like, if they're not going to promote you going to the gym if they're not up doing the same thing, grinding every single day. As a matter of fact, the harder they are on themselves, the harder they are on you, and they're giving you instruction off of their own discipline. So to answer your question, like a Black person, yes, everybody is a leader.
No, they not. No, they not. Some people can't lead themselves to the toilet in the morning. No, they not. Come on now.
Some cars don't start, but it's still a car.
Come on now. You right. That's still a person, but it don't make them a leader. You know what I'm saying? So again, if leadership was the possibility to everybody, more people would do it. If it was as widespread and as easy to attain, everyone would do it. We know that's not the facts. Leaders, why is such a great leader such a great commodity to acquire? Why, when you got a man as lead, or a woman that leads among her girl group, right? You got something special, because it ain't elevated. It's like a Lambo. If everybody had a Lambo, it wouldn't mean nothing. So no, everybody is not leadership. Everybody is not leader. Does everyone have the potential? But we all know about potential, don't we, ladies? We all know about that potential, don't we? Right? So the potential, yes. Are they? No. No, that's all I got on it.
That's what's up. Who got next?
Yeah, I'll jump in there real quick. I'd agree with that, Ricky. Everyone does have the potential to be, but just like discipleship, it takes someone extracting that out of you, that potential. So tonight we had a man up event at church, and man, it was beautiful. I got to hear the testimony of 3 people who were severely addicted to drugs and alcohol, and it's fascinating. Their program is called Hope is Alive, and it was amazing to me. And the timing is crazy, because we had somebody at work today quit because they couldn't solve their issues with their addiction, so they quit their job today. And then I had this event this evening. I had no idea about it, but it was talking about addiction. And the way they raise their model is they have someone come in that needs help, and they find someone who struggled with addiction themselves in order to then disciple them, and then they repeat that cycle. So whenever they're able to disciple someone to a particular point, they'll then turn them over and allow them to lead others. So like, as for addiction, that's a crazy thing to experience. And if you've experienced it, or anybody around you, it can be debilitating. So to see how these people were able to then recover through discipleship, meaning like allowing someone else to lead them to the point where they get to a point now, because they have experienced that, they're now are able to then lead others behind them into this new place which they have found, which the place is no longer being addicted. So this new level of freedom. So with that, not everyone can be leaders, but with the right leader, the right leadership, or discipleship, you can get there. And I think we all have it within us.
I mean, I'll jump in. A lot over the past couple of weeks, I've been dealing with trying to bring people from my past to the life I have now. And, you know, the Bible verse of treat people like you treat yourself has been one of the worst scriptures for me. It's more like treat people where they at, you know, meet people where they at. Everybody cannot be a leader. Simply, everybody don't want to be a leader. You know what I'm saying? Trying to show them leadership qualities, trying to show them leadership abilities or all that. They simply don't want the role, can't fulfill the role, won't do it, can't do it, XYZ. And expect them to do it is completely asinine. So, no, everybody cannot be a leader. I don't want to say it's something that's bred in you. Some people want to accept it and some people don't. Some people embrace it. XYZ. The people that become leaders wanted it, became it, you know, whatever. And the people are not. A lot of people are sheep. You know, look at the world, look at the media. A lot of people are more sheep than shepherds. You know what I'm saying? And that's just the fact of life. So, no, everybody's not a leader.
I think it's on you, Martavius.
Yeah, that's man, the good side of me want to believe that everybody is. But just the real side is like, I believe everybody has leadership potential. But I don't believe, well, to a certain extent, I believe at some point everybody will or have led. But when we talk about leader, I think it's not just, it just have to be ongoing for me. And so I don't think everybody is, because like I said, I don't think everybody wants to. And I don't think everybody want to put in the work, or they don't understand the weight of having to actually lead people and just understanding what comes along with that. So when we talk about leader, I know a lot of people want to water it down and just put it and use it as a title. But for me, I think it means a lot more because then you goes from, I think everybody has influence. Like you're going to influence people, whether you at a small job or whether you at a big company, like you're going to have influence, good or bad. And I think more people have more influence than they do or than they do at being a leader. So when we talk about leader, I think we have to learn to separate leadership from influence. And I think once we learn how to do that, then we will be able to see like who the real and true leaders are, because they actually do have a plan, they do have a vision, and they are leading people somewhere good or bad. And then you just have people who just have influence and who can just pretty much convince people to do just about anything. So when we talk about leadership, I think leadership is more than just, you know, saying that you're a leader of something. Like I said, I played football. Leaders on my football team, we knew who they were because they wasn't doing what the average person was doing. They was always doing something extra. They was always, nobody have to tell them where to be. They never had study hall because they always did their job. They always did their work. So for me, I just think it just boils down to separate influence, especially in this day and age, influence from actually leadership. Because social media, YouTube, everybody is a leader to a certain extent, or they think they are, when they really just have influence and they can influence people to do certain so and so. So I think it can just go just about any way, and it just depends on the person. I want to believe everybody, but I think everybody have that potential, but I don't think everybody is specifically a leader.
That's what's up. I'll end it like this. First and foremost, please go like and share and comment to the channel. Make sure you follow everybody that's on the platform. Some phenomenal people, or else I wouldn't rock with them. You know what I'm saying? So I vouch for these people. My take on it is that everyone is a leader. Based on the information that we provided this evening, we've said that there are good and bad leaders. So therefore, everybody is a leader. It is determined by the people that are following them, if they're a bad leader or a good leader, is what I would say. We talked about influence. There are some people that are, leaders that influence from a bad perspective. I mean, I have students in my classroom. I took a rest of the year job for the last 6 weeks, right? And there are students in my classroom that have a major influence on how the class goes, and they are very much a disruption. Right? They are disrupting in the classroom, right? And so I put them in check. So now to their peers, they would say that those are good leaders because they're following them and they're doing exactly what they're doing, right? But there are students in the class that would say Dr. Glenn is a good leader because I put them in check, right? So everyone is a leader. It's just determined by what is the influence that you are causing people to have. I think somebody said, I think Sir Hale said, it's about outcome. What is the outcome that is taking place, right? And the outcome could be positive outcome where it increases you to be more productive, or it can be the point of where it reduces your productivity. So in my estimation, everybody is a leader. It's just a matter of how are you influencing other people. So this has been a really good dialogue. I didn't want it to make it a man or woman type of situation. I just wanted to talk about leadership and how do we get to a point of recognizing who is a leader and then moving forward from there. Next week, we'll talk about, I'm not sure what we'll talk about specifically, but it would definitely be on the lines of how can this leadership be impactful in relationships. You know what I'm saying? And we'll get back to that. Once again, make sure you like, share, comment, subscribe to the channel. We're trying to get to a G. I think we're at 630 right now. Don't forget to holler at Prototype over there on Tuesday nights. Sir Hale is doing this thing on the YouTube streets and Instagram as well. Martavius Young is doing this thing on Instagram and YouTube. He has some really inspirational things that he talks about, him and his wife. Dwayne Jones does photography on the side. But, for whatever reason, he hasn't responded to my particular text message about photography, but we'll talk about that offline, right? And then you got, everybody knows him as Ricky in the streets, as well as on the YouTube streets, right? And follow him as well. And Shan is also Dia. I really appreciate you all. It's been a wonderful night. Until next time, we out here. Deuces.
The boy is dangerous.
Bad feeling about this.
You don't seem to understand something.
The thing that I like most about being a dad is that I see that I'm about to impact the world.